Good evening, everyone. It is time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. Say hi, Brandis.
Hello, hello. We made it back to y'all once again.
Yeah, once again, Brandis and I will be doing another one of our What's Happening in the World Today topics. This one is well, it's kind of frustrating. I'll put it that way. Uh, the other day I was s- scrolling through Facebook or somewhere. I don't know where I was at, but I ran across this thing called Vigilante Incorporated. And so Brandis and I were talking about this Vigilante Incorporated. And so they had it's a documentary. And so we watched the documentary to see see what's going on because the main topic was voter suppression.
Hmm.
And leading the charge was the great state of Georgia.
Georgia, good old Georgia.
And so after watching this video, and in fact, during the watching of the video, it really had me feeling some kind of way about the things that people are allowed to get away with in this country in the name of trying to keep the vote intact, if you will. And it's a byproduct of what happened in the 2020 presidential election when one Mr. Donald Trump claimed that there was cheating in the election. And for those of you who don't remember, have short-term memory, a lot of the stuff that Mr. Trump claimed in 2020 actually came to fruition in 2024, but it came to fruition for him because there was a wonder how that all these swing states where they had announced on the day of the election, day before the election, leading up to the election, that it was probably going to take them up to a month to count the votes. And lo and behold, at around midnight on election day, he was declared the winner.
Oh, not a month at all, huh?
Not a month at all. Not even a minuscule amount of time that was this election called. 'Cause everybody assumed that it was going to be days like it was in 2020 counting the votes. But alas, it was not. So Brandis, I'm going to let you, because you took the most notes, let you kick off the discussion on what we saw and what we heard in Vigilante Incorporated. So, Brandis.
For sure. So, and I'll drop a link here in just a minute for the website where you can watch it free. And I do encourage people. And then I'll say it too, because I know we got listeners and the people that won't see it. But Greg, so Greg Palast, PALAST.com. Okay. And again, Vigilantes Incorporated, America's New Vote Suppression Hitmen was the name of the documentary. And it starts out with Greg, kind of talking through, voting rights and things of this nature. And the very first thing that kicked in to me was he was sitting in Pamela Reardon's home and he's showing her these images like, do you know this person? How about this person? And she's like, well, I don't know these people. I know, I mean, should I know them? I'm not sure I should know them. He's like, well, you challenged their voter registration and said that they weren't legit people and they shouldn't be voting, but here they are right here on these pictures. And the conversation, like, of course, for her gets a little, tense because now it's like he's challenging her. And she's like, all right, the interview's over basically, and you can go ahead and exit my home. And on his way out, he's like, yeah, I went ahead and left because, they had a gun, a rifle or whatever sitting right here at the door. And, he didn't want that smoke. I was like, very smart man you are, Greg. But
Right, right, right.
um, it just really showed that, right. And at the time she was running for, what was it? Vice chair of the state Republican Party. And she, among with her other fellow people, filed a legal challenge for some 32,000 voters in Cobb County. Okay. Now I'm like, what does this look like? What does this mean? Essentially, they're saying, hey, either these people don't exist or it's been so long since they voted that we need them to come and say, I am who I am. I still live here in order for them to vote, to
Right.
have express their right to vote.
Right. And the biggest challenge, Brandis, was that they said that they didn't live
where
where
they
they said they lived.
where they said they live. And I mean, if you want to take the onus to say that, fine, sure, go for it. But make that be your due diligence to go to these people to the house, knock on the door, and say, hey, are you here? Are you this who you say you are? Present an ID, check them off, and they should be good to go. But I thought it was inconveniencing for them. Granted, I get the convenience for their side, but at the end of the day, if you're claiming that this is what you want to make sure voting and elections are fair and done properly, then you get yourself out there with your team of people, your hitmen, and y'all go door to door to all these people, some 32,000 that you believe should not have the right, shouldn't exercise their right to vote based on your data to, prove that they don't live there.
Right. And the crazy thing is that 32,000 is just the number of Cobb County.
Cobb County
In
alone.
in the state of Georgia,
Oh yeah, we got
they
big
challenged
numbers.
they challenged 364,000
Thousand.
people's residency. And the crazy part about it is that the way they challenge and they allow them to do this is that they put a bunch of names on a spreadsheet. And of those names, 90%, 95% of them were people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And they were challenging their uh, residency,
Residency.
basically, and had never seen these people, never talked to these people. And in fact, that's why when he was showing the pictures, and then he even gave names, they didn't know who these people were, but they were challenging that these people didn't live what they said they did. And that becomes a crazy issue that you're going to challenge where somebody lives, you don't know who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Absurd, right? Like
Right.
that's like if I'm gonna stand on it and check 1, 2, can you hear me? I see a comment saying, say something. How about now? Before I go further, because I'm the one kind of talking the most, running my mouth. um. Okay.
Is it
Maybe
fixed?
text me and let me know if you can hear me.
Who is it? Can you hear?
I
Tell
know
me
I
what it
see my
said.
mama saying it. Can you hear me now? How about now? Is it low? Maybe it's just low. Let me turn it up. See.
Is it fixed?
Text me and let me know. I hear me, so okay. I'm good. I hear me. I put it up. um where was I? So yeah, if you're gonna be bold enough to stand on this, you at minimum, you should have known your data was good.
Right.
Like and there are systems that exist, right? Things that I didn't realize. It's Eric um Electronic Registration Info Center, which I think they said is only maybe a couple years old, or I can't really remember, but there was technology available. Maybe it wasn't had a name yet or something, but somebody somewhere, it's bipartisan and it checks for, validity of these
Addresses.
types of lists.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was amazing that, again, like you said, of this 364,000 people, the percentages of that people look like me that, got to come and prove that they still live where they say they live, that they alive, and that they should be able to exercise their simple civic duty and right.
Right. Right. And it's and just so you know, the history of it is that the rule or the law that they used to do this was an old law, and it's in fact called the Ku Klux Klan voter challenge
Mm-hmm.
because the Klan, back when they were suppressing the vote back in the day, in order they didn't want to try to appear to be clannish.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to be slick in how they challenged black votes. So they came up with this crap and instituted. Back then they had to write the names down one by one in handwriting and then present the challenge. And the crazy part is that in most cases, a lot of these people were not even notified in a timely fashion until they came to the polling booth.
Yep. Let me see. See, I think I jotted down how many people actually were able to get in. More than and so in 2018, more than half of the people were late. They missed the deadline to re-register. So you
Right.
know that's a significant amount of votes. Now, granted, we're not talking about the difference between winning and losing, which we could throw that out there,
Right.
but
Right. And so in 2018 though, and those are the places where they were trying to get they were getting the impetus for this thing was when Donald Trump alleged that this was going on when he was telling the Secretary of State down in Georgia,
mm-hmm.
I need 12,000 votes. Give me 12,000 votes. Where this crap came from. And so they were what they were doing were creating these spreadsheets, and they were sending them in to the voters bureau. And here's the really crazy part. Uh, Georgia governor, former Secretary of State, Mr. Perry, he had put in place after the 2020 election a rule that allowed the Secretary of State to challenge any election official in any municipality, county, city, whatever, to challenge their authority. So if they didn't agree with stuff that he was saying, he could take over their voting process, which is what he did in several cases. And then they were also what's the young lady's name that ran for governor?
Stacey
Uh,
Abrams.
Stacey Abrams, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was a Hispanic young lady who, well, not Asian. They actually threatened them with lawsuits, with prison time
Mm.
for registering people to vote.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I remember this
Right,
happening too.
because of what happened in 18, where they had so many people unregistered to vote, they were challenging them or threatening them with jail time. They even went in a school board. It was 8 black women.
Yep.
They threatened them with 2 years, 3 years in prison. One of them thought about committing suicide
Suicide. Yep.
because of the stress. The another one actually, she was a lupus. She had lupus, and she actually died.
Yeah. They said
And
it
her
was
and her
recent.
father truly believes that the stress caused by them threatening them with jail caused her lupus to flare up,
Mm-hmm.
and took because I know several people died from lupus.
Yeah.
So lupus is nothing to be played with.
Yep.
And they had taken these pictures of these women in prison garment, orange jumpsuits,
Jumpsuits.
and
Mm-hmm.
plastered them all through the newspapers in the town. And so it's this kind of craziness, and it's they sued, and this judge they in 2020 they sued because they were doing this back then, but only in Georgia. This judge he ruled that they weren't trying to intimidate the voters, which they were. Anytime you go to a precinct where you voted for all your life and they tell you you don't live here, this ain't you, you got to prove, and ain't no time to prove. So they were doing, but he said he didn't see anywhere, the judge said he didn't see anywhere where they were trying to use unsavory tactic. Uh, but he said he didn't agree with their tactics. He thought their tactics were a bit extreme given the situation, but he didn't think they were trying to coerce or intimidate any of the voters. But in a footnote, don't take this to mean that I agree with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Of course, please don't, because I don't want y'all to get me out of here or
Right.
be
But they
I don't want to be
responded,
removed.
right? This group called, what was the name of the group?
The fair fight action, or who
No,
was
the True to Vote, the one
True
who
to Vote?
who came up with this, a Texas
Oh
group
yeah.
who came up with this. They they said this totally vindicates us.
See, all this time we've been doing nothing. What do you mean?
Right. And the judge said that the list that they send out utterly lack reliability. Indeed, it verges on recklessness. The court has heard no testimony and seen no evidence of any significant quality control efforts or any expertise in guiding the data process. But you ruled there wasn't nothing wrong with what they did. And mind you, the true to vote, the 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 process that they came up with reared its ugly head not only in the state of Georgia, but in pockets in Michigan, uh, Wisconsin, Philadelphia, and several other swing states is where this crap was going on in swing states. So now, when you're talking about in 2020, the election in all the swing states hinged on less than 20,000 votes in each one of those states.
Small.
And now you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people being kicked off the rolls. Don't tell me that you ain't up to no shenanigans.
Because it all sounds like it to
It
me.
all sounds like it.
They said they were challenging, previous things where people could help, low literacy individuals fill out, their complete their ballots and things, and they were making that like, nope, you may not do that, you may not help people. So of course, if I can't read well, if you tell me somebody can't help me, or I'm there and now you tell them they can't help, I'm leaving.
Right.
Or I'm not showing up at all to
Right.
vote.
And remember, Georgia passed that law that when they had them long lines at the polls, that you couldn't
Couldn't
bring
feed
people
people.
water,
Yeah,
food, or any of that stuff. You couldn't do any of that. If you did, you were committing a crime.
you were committing a crime. Yep.
And so part of the evidence that they used to show that the past election was fraudulent was they had a video of this black guy who was going to a ballot box, a early voting
Dropbox.
drop
Mm-hmm.
box, and he was putting
Multiple ballots.
probably about 4 or 5 ballots in the box, and he dropped one or
Mm-hmm.
two of them on the ground. And they said, "See right there, you can see. Look how he's
Stuffing
looking around." And now he
stuffing the
put it in
box.
there. He's stuffing the box, and look how fast he's trying to get
He's
away.
running away.
Truly, what a criminal would do. And so they use that to say that black folks were stuffing ballot boxes, whereas the evidence shows, the legal evidence shows that only 3 people were ever convicted during that time frame of
Of
stuffing ballot boxes, and all 3 of them were white Republicans.
white Republicans.
All 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. The only individuals convicted.
Only ones convicted.
Yeah, and in the documentary, I forgot the official, but she was saying like literally the language encourages people to, hey, drop your neighbors, drop your family members' ballots
Yes,
off. So how can we just look at this alone and say that's what's happening? A
one
crime is
incident.
happening.
Yeah, yeah. And so we like Brandon said, we really encourage you to watch this
Yeah.
because it shows you a lot of stuff. I mean, you don't have to believe us. Uh, they go into a lot of things that were unsavory at best, in how they treat. It was one. What was he? Was he a major?
Yes. Major Brown.
He
Was it Brown?
right. He was shipped off to California to help with a project.
Yep.
The Navy requested. I mean, the Air Force. They requested him to come and help them because he was expert in this area. So he was there, and he wanted to get absentee ballots so he can vote because he lived in Georgia, and ballot hadn't come. He trying to figure out, well, where's my ballot? It hadn't come. So he made a phone call and come to find out that his residency had been challenged.
Have been challenged.
And he found out the day
Day.
before the election
Whew.
was when he was given this information.
And what they say?
S-
All you gotta
Tough.
do is show up.
All you got to do is show up. And so,
Show
so the only
up
way he could have voted was to come home and vote
in a day and
in
vote
a day from California
to
to
Georgia.
Georgia. And in fact, he did. He did. He came home and
That's
he
the
voted.
slap of, yeah,
And
yeah,
and his story is probably because his father was a civil rights activist,
yes.
helped SCLC get started and all that stuff.
their
This
house was
guy,
the place they came to meet.
right, house where they came to meet. This one guy, this one gentleman, elderly gentleman, he was talking about how Jesse James, or not Jesse James, but what was it, Wild Bill Hickok? One of them,
Mm.
he talked about how they were vote they would stop were trying to stop black people from voting. And he was, remember, he's sitting there with his six shooter, his cowboy outfit on, and, bragging about how he had sent this thing to suppress these votes. And so they set him up to meet in this place. He ain't know where it was. And it was the house of the colonel who name was on his list, saying that he didn't live there. And so he was bragging about what he had done, but he admitted, well, I don't know all these names on these lists. I don't know these people. He said, well, your action caused him to have to fly all the way back from California to vote. Because when he found out he was in his house, you should have saw the look on his face. You should have saw the look on his face. But I didn't know. First of all, I'll apologize for what happened to him, but not for the process. I had absolutely nothing to do with the process. In fact, he said, I don't even know what the process is.
And here's my recurring theme for these people. Everybody is doing it and hiding their hands. Nobody know, oh, it's just, but this is for justice. This is for liberties. These are, we're the sacred vote. Like, we're making sure the democracy continues on. Like, okay, so if that's true, which is fine, again, but stand on your list,
Right.
right? And when they talked about, I forgot how many names were on it, but it was so many people with same first and last name, but all the different middle names, and they were
Hispanics, Hispanics, Asians, and African Americans. And y'all know,
that we juniors, thirds, fourths,
right?
fifths.
We got Jesse Johnson, all or John Johnson, or somebody Johnson up and down the list, and that's what these people were. Like the Brandis was just saying, they had different middle names,
Mm-hmm. And nobody cared to
and
just
nobody cared
look,
even. And when they
look
pointed
this
out, they
close.
said, "Well, that don't matter."
Yeah. So this is the same man 15 times on this list. You think this is the
The
same
same
voting
man,
15 times?
right, right, right.
That could be very simply verified.
Not hard. And none of them lived at the same address. That's the crazy part.
But they're lying about their address and they're going to vote 15 times
50
to
times. I mean,
15
let's just
different
keep on voting.
precincts, polling precincts, because they want to make sure their candidate gets in there.
Right. And then the other part, remember they showed the video of the back when the Klan did this, they had when they allowed blacks to vote, they showed it was a white guy in blackface that came to the polling location. He put one ballot in, and then they showed him reach around the side of the voting thing and drop
Stick
another one
another one.
in. And the black folks that was collecting the votes winked at him. Good job. But it was only a white guy that did it. Nobody black did it. It's like, but that's the kind of
Logic
crap that we
and
dealing with.
thinking. Yep.
They're saying it has nothing to do with black and white, or none of that. But in almost every instance, the people that you're targeting, that you're accusing, that you're suppressing are black. If they
Politically
ain't black, they
motivated.
brown.
Yep. Some form. And that's what the data showed. Here's the number. 1.4 million voter registrations were canceled between 2012 and 2018.
Yeah,
Like, some of the numbers, when I start, just digging after watching and still looking up stuff, I was just like, oh, this is crazy. This
right.
is absurd. And I got a little voter registration when I checked my mail today, my little card saying, hey, your polling precinct may have changed. Just, review it. I was like, oh, see, I got to start paying attention to these things, because what y'all trying to do?
Well, I know mine changed. And you know what's so funny about this is that after the election, I was trying to find out where I can find if my vote was actually counted.
Mm, they showed up. I know when you see, oh, because you did the mail in.
Yeah, I did. I dropped it
Mail
off in
in.
the box.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was somewhere you could check or to
Well,
see.
I tried. I went out and did a Google thing, and it didn't show me
Okay.
anything. It just showed
Okay.
that I received a ballot.
Okay.
Because the issue is with me is that if I do a absentee ballot and I don't mail it in, I walk it in and drop it in. There is no guarantee, and that's one of the things that the colonel said. He said, you know, his thing was not so much that they did away with his vote, but did you even count my vote?
Mm-hmm. All together.
Right. There's no guarantee that my vote was counted. The only way you can some way get close to that is to actually vote in person. Because once you do absentee, you don't know what happens to them ballots. You don't know who's counting them, who's opening them, and you know the way the numbers came back were they astonished everybody that they were that far off from where they should have been. So who was the ones opening the ballots? And we're gonna do like Trump did. Who was the one opening the ballots? Who was counting them and who was turning them in? Because you know my thing is all I care about is that the ballot I sent in went to the person I voted for.
That's it. Now, I'm not here to count a million votes. I want to make sure Brandis's vote though
Yeah, yeah. That's all I want
registered
to do.
for what it said it was for.
Right.
And I think that if it's not out there, which I feel like it is, and whatever,
It should be.
yeah, like then I think we have a very different issue, right? That should be addressed.
Right.
So I think one of the things I saw too was that the current laws said that you had to, have some activity within 7 years. And now
Hmm.
the new ones say it's, not that Stacey Abrams was working on says, that it's now 9 years of inactivity before they start to question,
Right.
where you live, who you are, if you with us here, not, or on the other side of the glory,
Yeah.
and all that good stuff. So I'm just like, well, yeah, that's, I mean, I probably, if they were going by primaries, um, or what's the ones in the middle of the year that I don't
Uh.
know until
Uh.
general.
No. Well, but they call them not primaries. You got the big election for they got it. They got it.
Something. Them
Yeah.
ones though, I would fail. They probably like I
Yeah.
would
The
check
one
my registration.
right. The
Got no
intermediate. They're
activity.
intermediate. They're in between. They don't. They not the. They don't. President is not up for grabs.
Yeah, yeah.
Governor's
Them
not up for grabs. It's just
the other city elected
interim,
officials.
intern, like interim, whatever. But yeah, they right. It's a lot of people don't vote no. And you know, sadly, it was a couple college students after some of the stuff that they had to go through to register to vote. They said that they didn't even want to vote.
Yeah, yeah. And he was saying how hard it was. He was, sad hearing and trying to convince them, like, wait, we still need you. We'll get this as a turnoff in
Right.
the
Because
big.
those were the people that when they went to those colleges on the campuses and were registering them to vote,
Mm-hmm.
that they sent their little stormtroopers in there and were threatening them with jail time. And even because even that Asian woman, remember they
Yeah.
told them that they was going to jail, and they shut their little thing. What was it? 15,000 Asians or something like that, and they shut them down because they were scared. And the crazy part is, in every case, except for that one we talked about with this one crazy judge, in every case they ruled when they were trying to suppress those people who were doing registration drives,
Mm-hmm.
they ruled that they were illegal. The people who were claiming that they were doing illegal activities, they ruled that they were out of order, and the registration drives were legal. But like so many times, now these people scared, and it's just that kind of mess that made me want to stop voting absentee and just and
Oh,
go to and hope somebody come up to me and say something.
that's what I was telling you before. Like, I don't know what I would do, but after watching that, I was like, oh yeah, you gonna have a problem.
Well, you're gonna have a serious problem. You come up
You
to me saying something about a vote.
you gonna have a problem on your hands. And then they was talking about, oh, this, sparked all the intimidation and violence against poll workers and XYZ and all. Well, if you
Right,
get your hitmen out of there trying to
right.
block people from voting,
That's right.
people would just go and do their part and go home.
Exactly. Vote, go home, and high five on the way home.
on the way out and get their sticker and be in peace.
Now this vigilante that does so the movie came out in early last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a quote from there. The 2024 election is in danger. 40,000 self-proclaimed vigilante vote fraud hunters have already challenged the rights of 852,381 voters of color. Investigative reporter Greg Palast hunts down the MAGA vote rustlers who blocked the vote of 4,000 black soldiers. So he's a major. Teams up with one of those soldiers, Major Gamaliel Turner, to hunt down and confront the GOP chairman who blocked his ballot. A vigilante who even dresses up as a Wild West vigilante, Doc Holliday. That's what it was, Doc Holliday, including cowboy hat, boots, and a loaded gun. That's the kind of crap that they had to deal with and still dealing with down in Georgia. And that,
All dressed up.
yeah, that knucklehead went from uh, Secretary of State to governor. And if you look, and the crazy part, because I guess me and you just talked about him. We didn't do it on the show. We just talked before him. We was talking about setting up his Perry. He ran when he first got into politics. He ran on the I pull myself up by my bootstraps campaign. He said that he was a poor sharecropper or whatever he said, something like that, family of no means, and he worked his way up through the ranks. Said that his family was civil rights fighters. They fought for the black man to give him votes. And when you look at his family's history, his daddy was totally against black folks getting the vote. In fact, and they came from money. Let's get that part straight. His campaign was financed or part of it by his wife's father, who was a man of means. His family were in the building. They were in the construction trade. They actually went in and tore down. They had built all these homes for poor people, poor black folks, and his family went in and they did what government so often did. You know, it's like the same around the same time as uh, uh, Paradise Valley got torn down, where they claimed eminent domain, and they went in and tore all. They said these houses were built, and the families got the key to them, and 2 days later they were tearing the houses down so they could run their little scam into the area. But this is the guy who ran on the thing that he was for the black man. He was trying to help him out, and so now he's another one of those that are against teaching in the schools, teaching history, African American history in the school, because the history shows the role that his family played in the slave game. They were big slave traders. His family goes back a ways that they were big players in the slave game.
Teach that.
Huh?
I said, so absolutely, you may not teach
Yeah,
that.
you don't want to teach that because you don't want people to find out where you came from. And you want to steal. And then it was funny because while Greg was interviewing historical society down there, remember he was asking about something that had happened, and somebody called the director of that facility and said, "Come here." Called him out the room. He comes back in the room and told him, "You got to leave." Now he was talking freely to him, and then he said, "Oh, you got to leave," because he had asked about some folks that were doing some dirt, and it turned out to be one of the society's big investors.
Mm-hmm.
And they said you can't say nothing bad about them.
Yeah, okay, I remember it. Yeah, yeah.
And so they ran him out.
Yeah, so many things happening.
So that's why I say you need to watch it just to see, because we can't do it justice trying to tell you what we saw.
Pull it out, yeah. Because
But you
there's some, something might stick for you, different than what stuck for me, stuck for you. So yeah,
right.
I would certainly encourage people to check it out again. For those listening, the site is Greg. Well, how do you pronounce it?
Palast or
Palast,
Palace.
Palast, yeah, one of them. GREGPALAST.com, and it's free to stream. Definitely check it out. Check it out. And then for those watching or streaming online, I have dropped it in the comments for you to check out. Not don't leave the live right now. Don't watch it after.
Watch it later.
No, watch
But
it
it's on
later.
you. But it's on YouTube. It's
It
on
is on
YouTube,
there.
and it's like all the things that we are fearing, if you will, during this time period. It's rearing its ugly head
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because these folks are doing doggone it what they want to do. Now you do have some judges that are stopping some of the stuff that they're doing. Even had the Supreme Court Chief Justice come in and say you can't do that. So that's good. We need to make sure that at the very least they are obeying the law. You know, this thing
Amen.
that they pulled in Georgia and several other states, sadly they were able to legally do because it's a old, one of the biggest problems we have as a country is that we have antiquated laws on the books that we don't get rid of.
Yeah.
We
We
just let
can't
them
be
sit there,
challenged. Yeah.
and then somebody sees it. Oh, I can use this, and they do it. And then when the courts come in, well,
They can't do nothing about it
you
because
can't
it's
do nothing
legal
about it
again.
because it is legal. It may not be clean, it may not be good, but it's legal.
Yeah. It's certainly not appropriate for these times.
It's certainly not appropriate. And so we
Um,
have to be very vigilant that we don't step into none of this crazy stuff. The
I found a clip and I wanted to try to see if it'll play just to give people a
Okay.
little sample. So I'm gonna try and see if y'all can hear it or not. I'll be checking the comments and stop it, but I'm gonna try to see if it'll work here. Okay. About GOP official who says that she has personal knowledge.
Fade it out. I can't hear it. I don't think they can hear it, Brandis, because I can't hear it. Could you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it.
Yeah, I don't
Can
think
you
they
pull
can.
it up on the phone?
Yeah, and it was started, but then it went out.
Yeah, I will get out of your house.
Okay, it's up. It's up. It's up. It's up. They can hear it.
Palast. Okay. Yes. Greg Palast. That's his name. You had it right. He
Yeah.
said, "You sure this is your legal voting resident?"
Right, right, right.
So you can already see, like, just from that clip, he was fiery. He was, fiery, and I appreciate that. You need them kind of people that ain't scared, because hey, this what you talking about. You trying to get rid of these people vote. And you talking about, yeah, I don't know him. I mean, I just became a registered voter and I got my right to vote in 1994. So what gives you the right to be challenging anybody?
Right, because she said she was from Canada.
Canada, Canada, the nerve. Get in here and sit down somewhere first
Right,
and figure out, learn you something.
right. Have a cup of coffee. Then
Then come in people's house and you just change trying to do stuff. Come in here, sit down, get to know the people,
yeah,
and then present your little bright ideas.
right.
But
But
yeah, so
but the
people
thing
check it
about it
out,
is
y'all.
it's the same crap that these government officials were trying to pull when they were well they were pulling when they were letting people go. They were sending letters out to employees, and the head of the agency was signing the letter, but
No
ain't read
questions,
what the
nothing.
letter said, ain't verified what the letter said, because they were saying people performances weren't up to snuff. But most of those people had excellent performance appraisals.
Mm-hmm. Not a single bad review
Right, but
in
you're gonna come in
sight.
and say we got to let you go because your work ain't up to par. What? And that's the kind of crap that these folks put in. But they say we're not doing nothing wrong.
Yeah.
We're not doing nothing wrong. We're just trying to get rid of the fat in the government. And the real fat in the government is sitting in there right now with all that gold furniture in the White House.
Gaudy and goofy. Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna admonish, my generation, younger, the generation after everybody, we have strong opinions and strong beliefs and all that good stuff and opinions and you know, whatever it is. Check this out if you haven't, or just do some research because I mean, literally, I there were moments when I was like fired up. There were moments when I was tearing up, like just to hear, stories of
Right, right.
people counting bubble gum. I'm like, I feel like I probably learned this, but it's been so long since I heard that. But oh, count how many
You had
bubble
to guess
gums
how
in this
many. You had to
dish.
guess how many pieces of gum was in the
Yeah,
jar to
and
vote to be able to vote.
then you can come in here and vote. And
Right,
that's what Major Brown was saying. It felt like it was happening then, and it is happening, now.
right,
What are we doing? What are we, going to do about it? Are we going to sit back and let this happen, either because of our ignorance or our just don't care attitude about it, or what?
right. And yeah, the sad part is that, and I so hate this. I hate it. A lot of people are saying, "Well, we told y'all. Y'all voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all deal with it. We washing our hands of it." But the problem is, the more they get away with, the more it's going to affect us. We at the bottom of everybody's totem pole. No matter what we do, they want us to quote some ignorant white TV commentator. They want us to shut up and dribble. That's what they want us to do. They want us to be there solely for entertainment purposes because they're so afraid of the greatness that lies within our people that they want to go by any means necessary to stop us from doing anything except entertaining them. And that's the sadness of the whole situation. So we really can't afford to sit back and watch them blow in the
Go
wind
through,
or
deal with
because
they vote.
yeah, deal with what you voted for because
Impact is still happening.
the impact's still happening and it's terrible. It's terrible that we always got to come riding in on a jet black stallion trying to save the day.
Hey, backs just woe down and tired because we just
Right, right. Because we always carrying the load and the sad part is getting no pat, not even a pat on the back
oh no,
for carrying the load.
oh no.
But now I'm gonna say this, and somebody help me. Where's Akeem Jeffries at? I haven't heard his name in a minute. Jasmine, what's her last name? Crock. It's
Crockett
Crockett.
getting
Crockett.
ripped to shreds right now.
Yeah, yeah. They trying to tear her a new one because she's standing strong out there. But she needs some folks to more than one or
Coming
two
back up.
to help her up because she can't fight the battle by herself. She just can't. She can keep trying. And trust me, every time she stand up, everybody cheering for you. They're cheering for her out there, but she needs some folks to help her. That's for real. So I don't
Yeah.
watch the documentary, see
Watch
for
it.
yourself. And while you watch it, just Google voter suppression 2024.
Yeah.
Just Google it. You ain't got, you don't have to count, you don't have to
Read
rely on what
20
we
articles.
saying.
Right. You ain't gotta read 20 of them. Just read
Just read,
two.
but it's more than 20 of them out there.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of them out
Read
there.
20 of them. Read two. And see if you don't look up and see yourself down a rabbit hole.
Right, right, right.
um,
I was watching an interview yesterday. Was it Lemon? He was interviewing Elon Musk. Elon Musk was pushing forth some of his thoughts. His thoughts, he called them. But Tom Lemon said, but those are the same what do we call them stupid things when people spreading spreading crazy thoughts around uh because he said this is not that, these are just my thoughts. I'm conspiracy theories.
mm,
And he was saying, well, that's what the conspiracy theory is. Exactly what you're saying. That's what it is. No, 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 no. This is just what I'm thinking. And this is what I see. And this is what I believe. And so so it's not a conspiracy. No, that's exactly what a conspiracy is. When you start pushing an agenda out there and you say you believe it, because if you believe it, it's a whole lot of other folks are gonna believe it too, just because you and your boy said it. But that's the kind of crap we putting up with. The people who are supposed to have been well. Only one of them was elected to his position, but they're pushing out these agendas, and because they're saying them, they're not conspiracy theories. When that's all they are,
yeah.
just what you said to be true. You don't have any evidence. When you said the vote was voter fraud in 2020, you were beat down at every turn. In fact, they even went out and counted ballots by hand to show you,
Satisfy you.
and you still wasn't satisfied. But now that you done stole the vote, now
Look away.
you happy now,
Yeah. Yeah, it worked nice for your benefit, so it's fine because
right?
mm-mm-mm.
Yeah. So I don't know. We got a lot of work to do to keep on doing. So
That's for
anything
sure.
else you want?
No, no, just I encourage people. I'm gonna be sending the link around, like, hey, when you get a minute, watch this.
Yeah, watch it. Just watch it.
Check it out. Check it out. Even if you don't sit through the whole thing, I think if you're tough through an hour, you push yourself to finish it.
Because it ain't much
It's only
longer
an
than
hour and 18 minutes. Yeah,
yeah,
if you
it ain't
get
much
to
longer than an hour.
about
Yeah,
30, 45 minutes, you'll be roped in like I was when they
right.
started out at on the in the costumes in the battlefield, acting like Civil War times. I was just,
But remember the guy that they was talking to.
yeah,
Oh, we need to get back to when it was like this, when we was doing.
like back to you want like you want to go back to yeah. What do you mean?
And
Yeah.
it's just like a whole lot of the rhetoric that they did. They pushing about Civil War generals. Trump want to rename stuff after them and get it. They lost.
Let it go.
Right.
Like
Ooh. You lost the doggone war. Let's move on.
this is our true history. This is what we need to honor, and this is what we need to.
And you
So
still
y'all
trying to,
gather here every day, every
right,
year
want to
to
fly that
okay,
flag
fly your little flag and do you okay.
like crazy. You lost.
Accept defeat and
Right.
go in peace.
But as long as they think they got a chance to be dominant,
Oh yeah,
to
they
be
do.
in charge, and I said it before and I'll say it again. A whole lot of y'all that voted for him Ain't none of his policies helping you. None of them. Only thing they doing is making you mad at us.
You fired up at the wrong people.
At the wrong people.
Yep. Yeah. We won't even talk about, University of Michigan and that thing today. Nope,
Right.
I won't get you fired up. We'll come back on that one. We'll
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
save it for another day.
Them among others.
Yep.
Just turn it back on the culture because that guy got a magic marker, signing pieces of paper, and all and that stuff that he's signing has effect. It can affect the federal government, but it has no effect on the states or private entities. Only the effect that you give it. It's all it has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, oh well, we can only do our part, right?
That's it. That's what I'm signing up to do. Now, if you might ask a little extra from me, I might give a little more.
Just a little
Now
more.
that I'm invested here.
Right. So, once again, take a look at it. Google it. Let us know what you think.
Go in peace.
Yeah. We'll be here. We'll be back in a week or so with some more thoughts, some more stuff that we've seen, some more things that we noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, life goes on, right?
Yeah. And, if you're checking it out after the fact, come back here and leave some comments under this live and, share your thoughts and some things maybe we didn't touch on that stood out to you. Leave a comment on YouTube or wherever, write us direct messages. We'd love to hear, your thoughts and experience after you check that out.
That's right. Just come on, tell us what you think.
What kind of sense did it make to you?
Right. Hey, we're going to let you go now. We up out of here.
Peace out.
Peace.